Who are the indigenous people of South Africa? It's the Khoi and the San. And
They're a very ethnic and genetically separate group, right?
Yes.
There's a lot of genetic and ethnic diversity in Africa.
Yes.
Bushmen, those people are very distinct. In fact, I've read that genetically they're more akin to Asians than they are to Black Africans.
I've heard that too.
Yeah.
But the Khoisan people have haplogroup A. How do you explain that? A only exists on the African continent and
Oh, man. This guy is the guy called Dr. Jordan B. Peterson, something like that, Canadian. My friend, I used to think that guy was smarter until I realized no, it's a mainstream. Yes, he is smart in something, but he does not know. No human being knows everything. That's clear. He said he read. That means he had no clue of human, especially African civilizations, which is he does not know anything. And this is what I don't like the most of the time is like people from Europe, people from America, people that don't know anything about Africa trying to comment, cementing their narrative about Africans, right? And Dr. Jordan B. Peterson doesn't know. This guy on his podcast, they were talking about land appropriation in South Africa and stuff like that, which is it's including in South African constitution about land appropriation. Like Europeans come from Europe to Africa with no visa, like with nothing. That was like 500 years, 400 years ago, 4 centuries and stuff like that. And they met people over there, all right? And they want to change that narrative of distinguish the black people that they've met in Africa. And they say these people, they are not even also Africans, because we are not Africans. That means also they are not Africans. So I'm about to tell you how you have to believe Khoisans are 100% Africans and they're 100% black, because I've made this video before. I'm never touching so much about Khoisan, but it was a Bantu expansion. You can call it extension or expansion, right? And the indigenous people of South Africa, they are not only Khoi, they are Khoi and Sons and Bantu and Nilotes and everything. It's a mixture because Sub-Saharan Africans means Sub-Saharan Africans means the lands of the dark people, and these people, they are part of it. So Sufi is one of the greatest teacher like about history and anthropology and geography I have on my TikTok. I like to listen to him so much. He drops some significant knowledge. If you want to follow him, you can follow him. He's called Sufi Academy, and he's trying to contradict what that guy
exists on
was
the
saying.
African continent
Listen, let's watch him and listen to him.
Among ancient Ethiopian people, Pygmy people, and the Khoi and the San people, which is why some geneticists connect ancient Ethiopian and Khoi and San people. No, but in Jordan Peterson's world, the Khoi and the San are not related to their neighboring Xhosa people, who they share the similar click language to, which only exists at that part of Africa, and they bloody look the same. Look at Nelson Mandela.
Especially Amakosa in the clicks Khoi language, it means the stubborn one. You can find it out, you can check it out. So the Kosa people means the stubborn ones, right? It's mixtures of Khoisans and Bantu, which is they've existed there for centuries and centuries And yes, I mean, like Europeans only came down to South Africa in 60s, bruh. Like in 40s, they were Portuguese, bruh. What about 10? I mean, what about 10th century, 11? When the Arab came to Africa, that was in 7th centuries. I mean, what about all those dates? When the Arab came to Africa, they found Africans. All right. A simple study of Bantu expansion is gonna tell you the extension started at 2,000 to 4,000 years ago before Jesus Christ was born. And now, Jeremy Peterson, man.
Part of
You let me
Africa,
know in
and
the
they
comment
bloody
what
look
do
the
you
same with the
say
Nelson
about
Mandela's
Jordan B.
eyes and
Peterson,
the
because
so-called Bushman's
this
eyes.
guy
No, no,
need
no, no.
more. I mean,
Somehow
they need
the
more
Bushmen
diversity in their
teleported to
knowledge.
Asia and intermixed with a bunch of Asians and ignored all of the so-called black people around them. How
And who was naming people Bushman? Bushman. That sounds so whitish. Oh, there you, Jordan B. Peterson. Like, I mean, let me read this comment. Jordan Peterson has just destroyed his integrity. No, he didn't destroy his integrity. He used to hide. Kosa came from Koi. Bruh, man. Colonizer is lying because he has to survive to rob and eat. Never listen to those who try to enslave you. Even Sutu. Kosa. Listen to these two morons. None of these are African, nor potatoes or sand, but they speak as they are expect in African race matters. Please talk about your people, country, race, but don't talk cack. I mean, I'm very disappointed by Peterson for this to the Afrikaners. I'm not surprised his response is inherent for him. So, me, I like to do some research, and to cause somebody say I shouldn't trust ChatGPT, but again, my friend, before I do researches, um, ChatGPT, look at how many verbs that ChatGPT generalizing for you to get the narrowed description. This is one, this is Wikipedia, this is something else. These are all this, I mean, reliable sources of information. Okay? And then I'm also gonna conclude with my small knowledge and asking survey to people, talking to people, listening to people, and following, watching news and information. That's how you find out great information. I'm not here to misleading people because I hate the people that are misleading people, especially on social media. That's why you shouldn't be listening to everybody these days. Okay? Many people, they've said that Khoisans are not black. But I've always laughed to that thing. Many people, even in here in South Africa, like in Cape Town, brown people, like colored people, they think they are Khoisan, but they are not Khoisan. They might be genetically having or genes, maybe 12%, 10%, but literally they are not Khoisans. And they are Khoisans. You can see, you can tell. When you learn and study the figures and the features of African race civilizations, like you can tell. If you see a Fulani, you can tell. If you see a Bantu, you can tell. If you see Eurasians people, you can tell. You see the Arabs, the people from Maghreb, you can tell. If you see the Tutsi, you can tell. If you see the Nilotics, you can literally tell, man. It's actually easy. But some people are still confused. Especially, I've always said about South Africans, like when the white people came to colonize South Africa, they would just say, like, everybody who's brown skin tone, he's a colored. And from then on, every colored in South Africa, we are Khoisan. But no, you are not. What about Cape Malay? What about Indonesia? What about India? What about Middle East? Many people come from there. And they are also colored in South Africa. Not everybody is a Khoisan. So first question I asked ChatGPT, are Khoisans black? And the first word came from ChatGPT was yes. The Khoisan people are generally considered black Africans, but with important culture and genetic distinctions that set them apart from many other African groups, because there are so many other African groups. There is plenty in Africa, all right? But the majority are black. And Bantu people constitute about 1.4 billions. All right. So here's a breakdown. Who are the Khoisan? The Khoisan is a collective term referring to two main groups. The San, formerly called the Bushmen, which is the San, we used to call them Chua in Central Africa, or some other people, they used to be like a pygmy, just like Dr. Sufi said, right? Because they used to be part of our ancestors. And then when the white came, they started to call them Bushman. Bushman, it's an English word. It's not an African word. Like English is not an African language, all right? Traditionally, hunter-gatherers. And the Khoi, formerly, or Taintus, traditionally, pastoralist, okay? They are the indigenous people of South Africa, not only South Africa. This is why many people always trying to make mistake. If you go to Southern Angola, you're gonna find Khoisan. If you go to Namibia, you are going. What here it says Southern Africa. So Southern Africa is totally different with South Africa. Excuse my language, because many people when they see Southern Africa, they think about only South Africa. No. Southern Africa, even Angola, south of Angola is part of Southern Africa. All right? Zimbabwe is part of Southern Africa. Malawi is part of Southern Africa. Mozambique is part of Southern Africa. But they are more into southwestern Africa, right? With deep roots in regions like Namibia, Botswana, and South Africa. In Botswana, that's where you find a lot of them in that click language. But they've never claimed the Khoisan from Botswana so much, but they always claim the Khoi from South Africa. I mean, that's where the problem is. Why do you claim the Khoi from South Africa so much, but you never claim the Khoi from Botswana, right? And those that in South Africa, it's like they came from Botswana because they were migrated, they were expanding from one region to another. That's where our ancestors, right? Genetic and appearance. Genetically, the Khoisan have some of the oldest human DNA lineage, making them among the most ancient populations in the world. They often have lighter brown skin, epicantic fold, similar to some East Asian population. Distinctive click-based language. The reason why, if you check Madagascar, for example, it's been in Africa, but it's been separated itself from Africa. From Madagascar, you're going to find so many Indo-Euro-Asians people, right? And then you understand the mingling of the people, the mixture of the people, right? I will be honest with you, because most of people from Southeast Asians, some of them, they kind of related to Africans. And I believe they took their genes from Africa. All right? And this is why it's not like a Khoisan, they're trying to look like those people, but those people looks like Khoisan, right? Because of genetically, the Khoisan genes are older than those people. It's done. Period, right? Yes, in social and political terms, in South Africa and many other contexts, Khoisan people are recognized as part of the broader category of black. I don't know what else I can say. Pick up my coffee, yeah. ChatGPT narrowed this down. It's not me. I mean, you just have never done researches. You just blah, blah, blah. You listen to so many fake things on social media. People in Canada, people in America and Europe and Australia, they are brainwashing you. They are reading you some false information. You know? Particularly in post-apartheid classification used to undo colonial racial hierarchy. However, Khoisan identity is distinct and strongly emphasized by its own people. Many prefer recognition as indigenous than rather than simply being grouped as black in the generic sense. Yes, the Khoisan are black, especially in the broader socio-political sense used in Africa, but they are also a unique indigenous group with their own culture, language, and ancestry. All right, so you get your answer. Dr. Whatever, Georgia, B, Peterson, man, you ain't got. If you guys have a message for Dr. Georgia Peterson, drop the message below. That guy has nothing to tell us. We have the master of our own history, and especially 2025. You can see a lot, but they will catch you so quickly. Look at what happened to Elon Musk and stuff like that. So, no discussion. Khoisans are 100% black. They are not colored. They are not Asians. They are Africans, Southern Africans, Sub-Saharan African, Central Africans. Yeah, we can be different by features and stuff like that, but 100% pure black, as you can see over there. Everything genetically by melanin. They've got like 60% of melanin. Bantu have like 80% of melanin. And some people like that, they have like, nobody has 99% of melanin. No one has. That makes everybody black if you have melanin, right? Yes, some Europeans, they have melanin, even though they are not consider themselves black, but they have melanin. So we have a lot of melanin more than them. It also depends with the regions, with the weather, climates, and stuff like that. So you've learned a lot. Hit the button, subscribe, activate the bell notification, and I will see you in the next video. Cheerio.